Today's big show is on norms and values. So, values are broad ideas about what is good or desirable and shared by people in a society. It's what not necessarily everyone, but almost everyone thinks these things are important or good or desirable. And in the United States, there have been some traditional values that we have. And I'm going to spend a little time going through traditional American values at this time. The first one I want to look at is achievement and success. That is, people emphasize achievement, especially in the world of work. Success is supposed to be based on effort and competition and is viewed as a reward for performance. Wealth is viewed as a symbol of success and personal worth. You have more value, you have more worth if you are wealthier. Another traditional American value would be activity and work. People tend to prefer action over inaction in almost every case. For most Americans, continuous and regular work is a goal in itself. Promotion should be for merit rather than favoritism. Finally, all citizens should have the opportunity to perform at their best. We value work. We don't value being slothful, of not working. We value having a job and being continuously employed. The next one would be efficiency and practicality. People pride themselves on getting things done by the most rational means. We search for better and faster ways of doing things. We praise good workmanship and judge performance by the results. You do good things, you are seen as being more valuable. Everyone has their life hacks. They like to figure ways out to do things more efficiently, better ways to do things. At least that's what we believe. The next one we'll look at is equality. From the beginning of our history, we have declared a belief in equality for all citizens. As minority groups and women achieved citizenship, our concept of equality grew. We tend to treat one another as equals, defend everyone's legal rights, and favor equal opportunity for everyone. We don't have a concept necessarily of royalty in our culture. The next one is democracy. People emphasize that all citizens are entitled to equal rights and equal opportunity under the law. In a democracy, the people elect their government officials. Power is not in the hands of an elite few. We don't have, if you were in world history last year, for example, or 2 years ago, and you studied the French Revolution, we don't have the first or second estate. We don't have layers of society that rule over us. And the next one is group superiority. Despite concern for equality of opportunity, people in the United States tend to place a greater value on people of their own race, ethnic group, social class, or religious group. We like our own tribe, if you will. Now, traditional American values include these values. I want you to understand that these ideas are interrelated. They impact and are affected by each other. All of these traditional values work together. And these values are fluid. The degree to which people have and will continue to hold to individual values changes over time. For example, some of these values aren't as important as today as they might have been, or they change in importance, or they seem to be in contradiction even at the exact same time. For example, this idea of group superiority and equality of opportunity. We might be more likely to afford people of our own group more equality of opportunity than someone outside of our group. So that would seem to be a contradiction. But these ideas are fluid and they change over time. So values that I've just discussed, they influence our norms. They decide what our norms are. They drive our norms. Norms are rules defining appropriate and inappropriate behavior. And there are 3 types of norms: folkways, mores, and laws. Folkways are norms that lack moral significance. Things you're not supposed to do or you're supposed to do, but it's not against the law, It's not a huge issue. You just shouldn't do it, or you should do it. For example, people pick their nose, but you're really not supposed to pick your nose in public. That would be violating a folkway. Mores are norms that have moral dimensions and that should be followed by members of the society. For example, in our culture, it violates a more to be homeless. Now, sometimes people are homeless through reasons that they may not be able to control, but most Americans, even if they're polite to homeless or may give money to homeless, they don't really value that they don't hold that person in esteem. That homeless individual. That seems to violate a more. There's a moral dimension to it. We think many people think there's something wrong if you're homeless. Another example would be perhaps in a different culture, in some cultures of some religious cultures where women should have their head covered, especially outside in public. Not doing that would violate a moral dimension in their society. And the last category are laws, norms that are formally defined and enforced by officials. Laws are consciously created and enforced. Folkways and mores just kind of accumulate unconsciously. But laws are consciously created and enforced. We decide what we want to make legal and illegal. For example, this person being arrested for drug possession. It is not illegal to possess harmful drugs if you're, say, over 21. Alcohol and tobacco are harmful drugs. There are all kinds of prescription drugs that are harmful, but they are seen as being legal versus illegal. And we'll be looking at later this semester what decides what makes, for example, in drug use, what's legal or illegal. So the values decide what your norms are. What you think is important and desirable in society decide what rules you'll follow. And there are 3 types of rules, from least important to most important. They are folkways, mores, and laws. Now, these norms are controlled by sanctions. Sanctions are rewards and punishments used to encourage people to follow norms. They are rewards and they're punishments. There are formal sanctions. These are sanctions imposed by persons given special authority. For example, we award trophies and financial incentives for people who are champions in the National Football League. That's a reward. There's also punishments. You are arrested and tried and convicted and put in prison run by authorities if you violate some law. That's a punishment. These are both examples of formal sanctions trying to encourage you to do something or discourage you to do something. Winning that championship trophy was certainly an encouragement. Putting someone in prison is meant to both discourage that person from committing additional crimes, they're in prison, and discourage other people from committing the same crime. There's also informal sanctions. These are rewards or punishments that can be applied by most members of society. For example, a punishment would be when you shun someone or make fun of them behind their back. That's not formal. That you don't have special authority. Anyone can make fun of someone else, but it's meant to be somehow punishing for whatever, and whatever norm they might be violating, and it may be real or imagined. A reward might be simply smiling and waving to someone you see. That's also a way to encourage friendly behavior. So values are things we see as important. They form from them come our rules that we follow. The rules are their folkways, mores, and laws, and the encouragements and the punishments we use to get people to follow the rules, follow the norms, are called sanctions, and there are formal and informal of those rewards and punishments. And that's your big show on norms and values.